Tonight, I'm Shibani Gharat, joining you guys from our Mumbai studio, and joining us from our Delhi studio is my colleague Sumita Karir. Now, United States has signed a reciprocal trade deal with Bangladesh, slashing tariffs on Bangladeshi goods to 19% and creating a mechanism for zero tariffs on certain textile and apparel exports, those using US-produced cotton and fibers. The move boosts Bangladesh's garment industry but has hit the Indian textile stocks, hard falling sharply amid fears of tougher competition in the US market. And this move just comes in a week after, the whole India-US trade deal and the kind of relations that India is having also with Bangladesh at this point in time. And the timing of it as well is very strategic, Sumita, isn't it, given that the deal is just signed in the week when Bangladesh's elections are happening?
Absolutely, Shibani. What's also important to note is that experts say that while India's overall tariff rate on textiles to the United States stands at 18%, the zero-duty window for qualifying Bangladeshi products could erode competitive edge for Indian exporters in price-sensitive segments. In fact, to discuss this and the larger impact on India's textile sector, let's now go across to our guest to decode what this development really means for India's textile sector. We are now joined live by Mr. Jayan Dasgupta. He's a former ambassador and representative of India to the WTO. Mr. R.K. Vich, the President Emeritus, the Textile Association, is also joining us. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now. This is an important development that's coming in just after the United States and India agreed on a joint statement. In fact, as we speak, we've also been given to understand that a White House fact sheet has also come out. So let me come to you, Mr. Vij, and then we'll come to you, Mr. Dasgupta, to understand the policy aspect. Mr. Vij, what is the competitive disadvantage now to India, especially as far as, this humongous deal that has come in for Bangladesh and, of course, a 0% tariff that's been given in the deal?
Good afternoon, good evening, and Ram Ramji. That the first point when you asked me what are the difficult points for Indian. So I'll just tell you, to the Bangladesh, we export around 3.5 to 3.6 billion dollar of total textile export, out of which is around 1.8 billion dollar of raw material and spun yarn or other filament yarn, and rest 1.2 billion dollar is the cloth and other things are there. We are not exporting much to garment to there. So you are very right with this zero tariff. Whenever Bangladesh will export some of the garment made out from the cotton imported from USA, will have the benefit. The problems for the Indian manufacturers will be there that we are the cotton supplier, yarn, our spinning industries are there. So for the time being, it will hit the Indian spinners. And also we are supplying man-made polyester fiber also. So that will be also there. And the cloths we are supplying to the Bangladesh, not the home textile. So that will also be affected. But looking all these things, now we are very much ready from last 4 or 5 months when USA put 50% tariff, and with our government on our Prime Minister Piyush Goyal ji and other Giriraj ji has done few schemes in India, just
Absolutely.
like PLI scheme, FTA with UK and EU.
Yes.
But so we were ready for that.
Let's get Mr. Dasgupta's reaction on this. Ambassador Dasgupta, quickly, I'm intrigued by the whole timing of the deal. US granting a zero tariff access to Bangladesh soon after negotiating 18% tariff with India. The timing of it also in the week when Bangladesh is going into elections this week. And also, Does this move by US also suggest that, as a nation, as a country, US is trying to play one Asian neighbor against the other? Because the timing of it is just a week, not even a week, just a few days after India negotiated 18% tariff with the US.
As far as this Bangladesh-US deal is concerned, there are some reports that it had been getting negotiated for the past 9 months or so, ever since Bangladesh had been slapped with 37% duty, which later on came down to 20%. So their lifeline is garment exports. 84%, 85% of their foreign exchange earnings comes from garments. There are 40 lakh workers involved in the garment industry. It contributes 11% to the GDP of Bangladesh. So it is very, very vital. Now, in the case of Bangladesh, they wanted to have zero duty access if possible. But the US again has used a ploy which it had used with the Central Asian republics, Central American republics. It had signed CAFTA, CAFTA, Central American Free Trade Agreement, in which it had said that if you buy yarn, fiber or yarn or fabrics from the US, then it can come back as garments at zero duty. That was many, many years ago. That is the same thing which it has done with regard to Bangladesh, because Bangladesh was desperate to get zero duty access to compete with Vietnam and all its other competitors, including India. So this is what has happened. Now, the point is that Bangladesh is buying a lot of cotton from India. It is buying about $1.5 billion worth of cotton yarn from India. It has a spinning industry and a weaving industry. Incidentally, the weaving industry is facing a shutdown from 1st of February 2026 because of various reasons, financial reasons, lack of uninterrupted power supply, etc., etc. Now, the point is, Bangladesh can buy a certain amount of cotton from the US or MMF, man-made fiber. It will have to spin that in order to convert it into yarn. Then it will have to convert that yarn into fabrics in a weaving mill. And then only it can convert it into a garment. Now, in these two segments, spinning and weaving,
especially,
it doesn't, its costs are high. So, whatever it gains by way of, let's say, zero duty on the tariff, that it will lose on the spinning and weaving segments of the chain, supply chain. So it is not going to make much of a
Ambassador
difference.
Dasgupta, when you... Yes, because it is the tariffs that will be lowered as far as India is concerned is 18%, and Bangladesh has been brought that to 19%. And remember, Ambassador Dasgupta, this is coming in just a couple of days back when India got relief on those tariffs. And of course, we were celebrating the fact that all our competing economies, in fact, have lower tariffs than us. But let me ask you one follow-up question. What is the United States intending to do with this kind of a policy with Bangladesh? And second part to my question is, what policy options does India have to offset Bangladesh's tariff advantage in the US market?
Two questions you have asked. The first one is, what is the US trying to achieve?
Yes, sir.
The US is trying to, US exports to Bangladesh are only about $2 billion. Its imports are $8 billion. So there is a $6 billion trade deficit which the US suffers from. Now the US can get any number of assurances that Bangladesh will buy this, that, and the other. Bangladesh has a very serious problem of balance of payments. It is, approaching the IMF every other day to increase its, issue of funds to Bangladesh to keep the economy going. So no matter how many concessions it gets by way of import duty concessions from Bangladesh, they are unlikely to get converted into real-time gains for the US industry. Let us be very fair about this. At this present juncture, maybe 5 years down the road, Bangladesh economy will start looking up. It will, by November 2026, Bangladesh is also going to lose its LDC status. And then it will also lose many of the concessions. For instance, with respect to the European Union, it has zero duty access in textiles and clothing in the European Union because there is a policy called everything but arms, which the EU has, zero duty. Now, that will go away in November 2026. So there are also headwinds which Bangladesh will face. So that apart, the US is only interested in trying to portray to the world that it is the President Trump in particular, that it is getting additional markets for the industries in the US. And that is what I think is what is guiding governing his actions. As far as the other aspect of this whole issue is concerned, I don't think this 1%, 2% is really going to matter. Bangladesh is 19%, India is 18%. Some of this US cotton and MMF imports may get converted into garments, but they will still have to compete on price basis, landed price basis in the US with Vietnamese garments, with Indian garments, with garments from Indonesia, Africa, Ethiopia, etc. So,
Mr. Dasgupta, let's go on to Mr. Vij, because Bangladesh also accounts for 70% of the Indian cotton exports. With the new cotton for garments model, how many months we have before the Indian farmers also see an impact of this, Mr. R.K. Vij?
First, I'll let you know, as Bangladesh is next to us and USA is very, very far from Bangladesh. And suppose if they will buy a cotton even at zero duty from USA, it will has a lead time. It will have a more transportation also. USA is only doing just when India stop some of their agriculture product at zero duty. So that is there. So ultimately their spinning cost is high. And I will let you know, being a technical person, that this will not run along a long time. Ultimately, Bangladesh has to be taken cotton from and yarn from us. And now, yes, the season of the cotton starts from the month of October, November, and now it is already February, May, June, and again the new crops will come in the month of October, November, December. So I think our farmers will not be affected, and already MSP is there on the cotton. Only thing is that we have to grow man-made fiber in India, and some of the things we can export to other countries, and cotton is not surplus in India also. And that
absolutely, Mr. Vij, so diversification. Absolutely, diversification is something that India has focused on. Absolutely, India has focused on diversification, and this is not just about trade, but this is also related to our defense segment as well. So, of course, it remains to be seen the likely impact of this and what this is going to have. In fact, so far we've spoken to textile exporters, and they are of the view that this is not going to have a large impact, given the fact that we've diversified our textile exports to other countries as well. But the impact remains to be seen. But on that note, Ambassador Dasgupta and Mr. Vij, thank you very much for taking the time out and speaking to us here on India Tonight.